So, how's the convertible I sent you? Grandpa asked, smiling in front of everyone. I froze, then replied, I never got a car. My parents stood up to leave, but Grandpa already knew, and what he said next changed everything. My name is Brielle Lane, I'm 24, and I never liked family reunions. Not because I hated anyone, no, it was more subtle than that. I hated how everyone wore smiles like masks, how secrets floated just beneath the surface, how my parents always pretended we were picture perfect, when in truth, I felt more like the hidden smudge on a polished family portrait. This year's reunion was different. Bigger. Louder. My grandfather's 82nd birthday. He was the only reason I came. The air was thick with barbecue smoke, perfume, and too many shallow compliments. Kids ran barefoot on the lawn of Grandpa's estate in Westport, Connecticut, while adults sipped cocktails and compared renovations. I stood under the oak tree at the edge of the backyard, alone but pretending not to be. Before we begin, drop a comment and tell us where are you from and from which city you're watching our videos. And after watching the whole video, don't forget to tell us what would you do in this situation? Be honest, tell me in the comments below. We read every comment. Let's begin. That's when Grandpa Franklin waved me over. His white fedora shaded his tired but sharp blue eyes. People always said he was old school. I called him observant. He had a way of cutting through lies like a hot knife through butter. Brielle, he said warmly, come sit by me. I approached, nerves knotting in my stomach. My mom and dad were just a few feet away, laughing with my uncle near the gazebo. As I sat beside Grandpa, his hand gently patted my shoulder. So, how's the convertible I sent you last month? He asked with a smile. Everything stopped. The laughter, the music, even the breeze. It all became background noise to my pounding heart. I blinked, trying to piece together what he meant. A convertible? Sent to me? I swallowed hard. I never got a car, Grandpa, I said slowly. His smile faded. A long pause settled between us. Behind me, I heard the shift of feet. My father, Martin Lane, stood up. My mother, Rebecca, followed him. Neither of them said a word, but their faces paled. Grandpa didn't look at them. He just kept his eyes locked on mine. You sure? He asked gently. I would have remembered getting a convertible, I replied, trying to smile. But I was shaking. Are you saying you sent me a car? He didn't answer that. Instead, he stood up, slowly, and turned to face the crowd, clinking his cane against his glass of bourbon. Can I get everyone's attention? The chatter died instantly. The entire family turned toward the old man in the white hat, standing next to me, and I had no idea what was about to happen. But my gut told me it was going to be bad. For someone, Grandpa's voice rang out, clear and heavy. A month ago, I ordered a brand new pearl white convertible for my granddaughter Brielle. It was supposed to be delivered to her address, her real address, the one she gave me. He paused. But it turns out it never made it there. Gasps spread. Heads turned. Murmurs started. My father coughed. Dad, maybe there was a mix-up with shipping. I checked the delivery records this morning. Grandpa interrupted. The car was signed for. By Martin Lane. You used your own address, didn't you, son? Everyone stared. Mom reached for Dad's hand, squeezing it tightly, but he pulled away. I was going to surprise her, Dad mumbled. I didn't want to just hand her a sports car. She's young, she's reckless. I also sent her a $10,000 graduation gift last year, Grandpa said, cutting through the lie again. Funny thing, she told me she never saw a penny of it. Mom's face flushed red. You're misunderstanding. No, I'm finally understanding, Grandpa snapped. The weight of his words dropped like stones. I couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. The realization hit me harder than I expected. My parents had been stealing from me, lying, covering up, all while smiling at me like I was the lucky one for getting a roof over my head. I want everyone to hear this, Grandpa said louder now. For years, I sent money, gifts, and opportunities to Brielle. And somehow, she got none of them. Dad, my father tried again, his voice shaking. You don't understand the kind of pressure we've been under. I understand betrayal, Grandpa said coldly. That's enough. Then he turned to me and placed a small velvet box in my palm. This should have been yours a year ago, he said. I opened it with trembling hands. Inside was a car key. Sleek silver. Engraved with the initials BL. I had a feeling something wasn't right when you didn't call to thank me, he said. So I started watching. Listening.
And now?
I'm done pretending. He looked at the rest of the family. From this moment on, Brielle is no longer under anyone's control. Especially not Martin or Rebecca. She'll have her own house, her own car, her own bank account. I'm putting her name on everything you thought was yours. Because I finally see who deserves it. The silence was volcanic. Mom covered her mouth. Dad's fists curled. My brother Cameron took a slow step back, wide-eyed. And I just stood there. Not victorious. Just stunned. Shaking. Because when someone spends their whole life trying to make you small, the moment someone hands you power, it doesn't feel real.
It feels terrifying.
But then Grandpa squeezed my hand again. You've always been my pride, he whispered. They just never let you know it. I didn't cry. I felt like it. But I didn't. Because somewhere deep inside me, something had shifted. Something that wouldn't go back to the way it was. This wasn't just a family reunion anymore. This was a reckoning. And it had only just begun. The family didn't know where to look. Some stared at Grandpa in disbelief. Others stared at my parents like they were strangers. But me? I couldn't stop staring at the box in my hand. That small velvet box. With the key that should have been mine. A year ago, the moment shattered whatever illusions had been holding the family together. I didn't take anything, Dad blurted suddenly, eyes darting around like he was cornered. I was just holding on to it. We were waiting for the right moment to give it to her. You know how dramatic Brielle can be. Martin, Grandpa said, his tone cold, you've had every right moment for years. And instead, you took everything from her. Dad, come on, this is a misunderstanding. It's not, I said quietly. My voice surprised even me, but it was steady now. My hands weren't shaking anymore. I stepped forward, just enough to make them flinch. You kept the car. You kept the money. You never even told me Grandpa sent anything. Mom's lips tightened. We were trying to protect you. I laughed, short, bitter. From what? Independence? Success? She stepped forward, voice lowered like she was trying to control the damage. We raised you. Gave you everything. You don't get to turn on us now just because he handed you a key. Rebecca, Grandpa warned, don't. But she didn't stop. You think the rest of this family's going to just hand over respect to some girl who barely finished college and waits tables for a living? You've always been ungrateful. The words stung. Not because they were true, but because they were familiar. Words I'd heard in whispers behind closed doors. On days when I came home too tired to talk. On holidays when my brother's new job or my cousin's internship was celebrated, and I was handed the salad bowl and told to stay humble. But now the curtain was gone. And their voices? Unmasked. She doesn't owe you a thing, Grandpa said sharply. And if I hear one more word of that tone, you'll be the ones looking for a new roof. Everyone froze. My dad's face darkened. You can't just disown your own son. I can do whatever I want with what's mine, Grandpa snapped. And if protecting Brielle means cutting off the people who exploited her, then yes, I'll do exactly that. The tension was unbearable. My cousin, Trina, shifted uncomfortably, whispering to her husband. My aunt stepped forward, trying to calm Grandpa down, but he raised a hand and stopped her cold. Everyone always talks about family loyalty, Grandpa said. But nobody talks about loyalty to truth. Loyalty to character. I gave Martin and Rebecca chances for years. And now it ends. He looked back at me. You don't have to fight anymore, sweetheart. You're free now. I blinked. The word free echoed in my ears. But freedom felt strange when you'd spent your whole life tiptoeing around people who used love as currency. My father stood stiff, jaw clenched. My mom had tears in her eyes, but not the kind that meant regret. The kind that meant exposure. They'd been caught. They weren't sad. They were ashamed to be found out. I'm moving out, I said, voice calm. Today. Where will you go? My mother asked, her voice rising. You don't have a job that pays enough for rent. Grandpa smiled. She'll be staying at the summer house on Hollow Creek, he said. And next month, she starts work with my legal team as an assistant manager. Full benefits, real salary, company car. That wasn't just support. That was belief. And it came without strings. I looked at my parents for the last time that day. My dad's face was unreadable. My mom's mouth opened, but no words came. For the first time in my life, I saw them not as parents, but as people who'd failed me. And the difference changed everything. The sun had begun to set behind Grandpa's estate, casting long shadows over the backyard. The reunion kept going, but quieter now. People whispered, looked away when I passed, unsure whether to avoid eye contact or offer sympathy. Grandpa and I stood near the porch while my convertible, rolled up the driveway, flatbed delivered, polished to a blinding shine. I stared at it, and, for the first time, I wasn't just in shock. I was furious. Years. They took years from me. Opportunities. Confidence. Even my sense of worth. And all this time, they had pocketed my life. You all right? Grandpa asked gently. No, I said honestly. But I think I'm finally seeing clearly. He nodded. You've always had strength, Brielle, he said. You just didn't have space to use it. I didn't know what to say. My throat ached. So I nodded back, eyes fixed on the house. That house, the one I was raised in, was filled with everything but love. The rules were always clear. Cameron, my older brother, was the golden child. I was the late bloomer, the soft one, the girl who didn't need much. It wasn't just the car or the money. They never gave me encouragement. They gave me expectations. Control. Guilt. And they called it parenting. As I packed my small bag from the guest room later that evening, Cameron knocked once and stepped in without waiting. You really going through with this? I zipped my duffel. Going through with what? Taking back what was mine. He rolled his eyes. You know, Mom and Dad didn't mean harm. They kept a car meant for me and signed for it like it was theirs. He crossed his arms. You don't have the spine to live on your own, Brielle. You'll come crawling back in 6 months, begging for help. You were always the charity case. Something broke in me. I stood straighter than I ever had. You know what's funny? I said slowly. You always acted like I was a burden. But you know what I see now? You were just terrified I'd stop being easy to ignore. That I'd stop apologizing for taking up space. His smug expression flickered. For a second, just a second, I saw it. Fear. Not of me, but of the truth. You weren't better than me, Cam, I added. You were just louder. They were just more invested in your success. And I was just waiting to be useful. He scoffed. You're emotional. No, I said, voice calm. I'm finally awake. I slung the bag over my shoulder and brushed past him, out of the room, out of the hallway, and toward the front of the house. Grandpa stood at the door, keys in hand. He didn't say anything, just handed them over. And with that, I walked out, not just of the house, but of the role they'd written for me. That night, as I drove the convertible toward the Hollow Creek house, the road stretched ahead like a second chance. And for the first time in years, I wasn't afraid of the destination, because I was the one choosing it. The Hollow Creek house sat on the edge of the lake like it had been waiting for me. Sunlight spilled through the floor-to-ceiling windows as I stepped inside, and for a moment, I just stood there, stunned. Polished oak floors, clean white walls, a soft leather couch facing the water. It was everything my parents said I could never have. Too modern. Too expensive. Too much for someone like me. But now it was mine. Grandpa had left a note on the counter. Brielle, this house is not a gift. It's a reset. Make it yours. Franklin. I smiled, the first real one in days. By the next afternoon, my phone buzzed nonstop. 17 missed calls. 32 texts. Mostly from Mom. I didn't answer. That evening, one came from Cameron. This is going too far. You made your point. Come home. I stared at it, then typed one word.
No.
Because it wasn't about making a point. It was about reclaiming myself. That week, I began working under Grandpa's legal team. They didn't treat me like a charity case. They trained me hard, pushed me,
Corrected me.
but they also listened. And when I spoke, I was heard. No eye rolls. No scoffs. No, are you sure you can handle this? I found myself staying late, asking questions, learning contracts and case files like they were puzzles made just for me. For the first time, I felt sharp, like I had purpose. One night after work, as I sat by the lake, my phone rang. It was my mom. I let it ring, then answered. Brielle? Her voice was soft.
Too soft.
I'm here, I said. She exhaled. Honey, we're family. We don't let one bad moment tear us apart. One, I repeated. It wasn't one moment. It was a pattern.
We didn't know how to support you, she said.
You always seemed like you didn't need much. That's because when I did need something, I got shamed for it. Silence. Then, your father's not doing well. He hasn't slept. Your brother barely talks to us. We miss you. I took a breath. I'm not coming back, I said. Not to the same version of me that tolerated everything. Are you trying to punish us?
No.
I'm trying to heal from you. Her voice cracked. That's cruel. No, I said softly. What you did was cruel. This is me setting a boundary. And for once, she had nothing to say. We hung up in silence. But I wasn't angry. I was done. Not bitter. Just finished. That night, I wrote in a new journal I'd bought just days ago. A single sentence. Sometimes, the only way to grow is to walk away from the soil that kept you small. And I finally felt something I hadn't felt in years.
Peace.
Weeks passed. The lake turned golden in the mornings, the breeze shifting cooler as fall approached. I started decorating the Hollow Creek house little by little. Warm throws, plants by the windows, second-hand books filling the shelves. Every choice was mine. No one told me it was too much. No one made me feel like I didn't deserve it. At work, I thrived. What started as an assistant position quickly turned into more. Grandpa's partners noticed I had an eye for detail, contracts, clause loops, financial fine print. I handled difficult clients with quiet confidence, and after just 5 weeks, I was offered a junior analyst role. I accepted without hesitation. I didn't tell my parents, because now I didn't need their approval to move forward. But life, of course, has its timing. One Saturday afternoon, while I was on a video call reviewing case notes, my doorbell rang. I opened it and froze. It was my father, worn out, shoulders hunched, holding a worn leather folder. I thought about calling, he said. But I figured you'd hang up. You figured right, I said, calm. He looked around, as if seeing the life I'd built for the first time. The house.
The view. Me.
You've done well. Better than you expected? I asked flatly. He winced. I didn't come to fight. Just to explain. I don't need explanations, I said. I needed protection. Support. You were supposed to give that freely. Not when it was convenient. He hesitated, then opened the folder and handed it to me. Inside were printouts, bank transfers, photos of packages addressed to me, and proof of every gift Grandpa had sent over the years. It was all real, he said. You were right. We took them. We used the money to pay off Cameron's loans, to fix the roof, to cover expenses. We told ourselves you didn't need it as much. I stared at the papers. Years of betrayal printed in black and white. But the worst part, he continued, his voice cracking, we started believing the lie we told you. That you were less than. That you didn't have what it takes. And we crushed your spirit to keep that illusion alive. He looked up at me, eyes watery. I'm sorry. I said nothing. Because apologies don't erase patterns. But after a long pause, I handed the papers back. That truth isn't for me anymore. It's yours. You get to carry it now. Do you hate us? No, I said quietly. I outgrew needing you to be different. He nodded slowly, then turned to leave. But before he reached his car, I spoke again. One more thing. He looked back. I used to think love meant loyalty, even if it hurt, I said. But now I know real love never asks you to shrink. He nodded once, then left. That night, I stood on the back porch, watching the moon ripple across the lake. My phone buzzed. A text from Grandpa. You did good today. You stood tall. I'm proud of you, kid. I smiled. This wasn't revenge. This was rebirth. The girl who once shrank herself to fit their definition of enough? She was gone. And the woman who replaced her? She was just getting started. Let them watch. Let them regret. Let them remember the day I walked away. Because I wasn't just the quiet one anymore. I was the one they never saw coming. The one who rose.